All right. So we'll just start, and if people pop in, they pop in. If they don't, they don't. I know you can't see that, but on my
Okay,
end, I'll be able to see it.
that's okay.
Um, so let's wait for. Oh, we got a couple people. Hi, Sasha.
Hi, Sasha.
Um, so what we're doing is we are talking with Jeffrey. Sorry. There we go. All right. So where are you guys located?
We are in Milford, Connecticut.
Okay. And Jeffrey is how old?
Pardon?
Jeffrey's how old?
Jeffrey is 11. We think he may be older, but he's at least 11.
Okay. And so let's start from the so for people that don't know Jeffrey and Michelle, uh, they're the greatest tandem in the history of the world. Um, and that's not hyperbole. Jeffrey went from being literally on his last day on earth, potentially, at animal control in New York City. And he is now a certified therapy dog, complex rated. He's, as you see, a kick ass, sport dog and multiple things. Literally the most amazing dog that you could possibly hear about. And so we just wanted to kind of go over his story right now. Hopefully you don't hear my kids screaming in the background too. But hey,
Oh,
this is
happy noise. That's okay.
yeah,
Joyful noise is good.
and the gardeners. So uh, so the first thing is all right. So where did Jeffrey come from? Like, how did his story sort of begin?
Okay, so I was a serial cross poster. I could not stand to see these dogs on death row looking for homes. So I was constantly cross posting to try to get them some exposure. I came across him, I shared him, and I got this jolt. I can't describe it. It was like an electrical jolt that went through my core. And I went back and looked at him again, and I called, and he, my boyfriend, said, "You're not getting a dog," and then he proceeded to go off to a Miami Dolphins game, and he came home to a pit bull eventually. But Jeffrey, I was going to go pick him up. He was, hi bud. Um, he was on death row, and I called. I was going to get him, and they said, "Oh, somebody's pulled him." So I thought, okay, well, all right, it wasn't meant to be. They said, "But no, she's a rescuer," and they gave me her contact. I got in touch with her, met up with her, adopted Jeffrey. It was just like a second hand right through. Came from there to her to me. Um, he was saved by Jeff Latzer and Carol Rothschild, who were animal care control workers at the time. It took a village to get this dog out of there, but every single one of the people that were part of him being rescued are still part of our lives 10 years later. They're, we're in constant contact. We're still in constant contact. I just texted with Jeff and Samantha yesterday. I just talked to Carol all the time. Brooke and Dave Goldstein and Slater from Bruised Not Broken. That was where I originally saw him. They've been a huge part of our lives. So it's our family. We
And
saved his life.
and you can see this is the picture from him at animal control, right?
Yes, yes. He
So
is.
did they know his story at all?
Pardon?
Did they know his story at all?
He was found tied up in a park at Inwood Park, and the ranger had thought he maybe belonged to a family that was there. And then the ranger, when he came back to work the next time, the dog was still there, and he would have loved to have kept him because he was such a nice dog, but he already had dogs of his own. So he had to bring him to ACC. At ACC, Jeffrey's name was Ranger, and we are Rangers fans in our house. So I don't keep their shelter name, so I named him after Jeff, who is his shelter worker.
Awesome.
Jeffrey, come here.
So how was Jeffrey when like because I talk about a lot about like that whole 2 week decompression period for a lot of shelter dogs and stuff. Like how was he when you first got him?
He was sweet. He was really this guy. He was a kind, sweet, gentle dog. He was completely untrained. He did not know anything. He did not sit, and he pulled like a locomotive. pulled me off my feet a few times. He needs to learn. He was never taught anything. Um,
And so when I met you, how long had you had Jeffrey? Because I feel like I met you in like 2008, or maybe even yeah, like
yeah, he was adopted August 24th, 2010.
okay,
So
then it was 2010. No, it was at Connecticut Pitbull Awareness Day when I was living in Connecticut. That's how
oh
we
wow,
met.
so that was maybe 2011, 2012,
Okay, that was right before I moved to California then.
right before you moved. Yeah, you moved
Okay.
not long after we met.
Okay. And at that point, he was you had been going through training and he was sort of on the road to being therapy dog at that point, right?
I had taken basic obedience and intermediate, and then done his CGC testing. And the CGC examiner, Jeff Stockron, who is still a very dear friend of ours, he had said to me, "This dog is just incredible. Really should think about doing therapy work with him. If you didn't, it would really be a shame." So I looked into it, and we started doing more advanced training, and then we went through the Pet Partners program.
How tough was the test for him?
Pardon?
How tough was the test for him?
The test wasn't that hard. We chose to go with Pet Partners because they not only test temperament, they test me. I have to take a written test. If they teach ethics, the dog has to do a test, about being comfortable around different equipment, being comfortable around strangers, being comfortable around loud noises, all different things. I've since become a Pet Partners evaluator as well down the line. This is 8 years later. I still find them to be the most stringent as far as their testing. It's a great organization. There are so many fabulous therapy dog organizations out there, but Pet Partners will always be our home.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely comfortable with everyone and everything. And so, what? I mean, I mean, where he got some more notoriety, if we will, was when the whole tragedy at Sandy Hook happened. Um, Obviously, they called in some therapy dogs for the kids and stuff. And can you kind of talk about that whole experience? I mean, obviously, it hit close to home because it was very, very close to where you live. Um, and like, how did you get involved with that situation? And what did Jeffrey kind of, spring into action and do and all that?
Okay. Well, Jeffrey we were volunteering for the Cove Center for Grieving Children at the time. Um, we were called, a friend of mine who was a para in the school system there. They were gathering the kids together for the first time to see each other after the incident had happened, and we were invited to come there, and that was how we got involved there. And he happened to met many children, but there was one little girl in particular that they just had a magical connection. There's no other word for it. Magical. Her name is Anna Wisniewski, and she hadn't smiled, and she had really not. She'd been having a hard time, and when she met Jeffrey, um, she smiled, and she felt a little bit better, and we developed a relationship with her that continues to this day. She's now in high school. She's now a sophomore in high school, and Jeffrey is still her buddy. She still keep in touch all the time. She comes to our donation drive every year. We hold a donation drive in December each year, community donation drive. On the weekend of Sandy Hook, we do it every year. That's not.
It's pretty cool.
It's a hard anniversary, so we try to do something really positive for our community that weekend every year, and we've done this to honor Jeffrey's relationship with Emma, and she didn't learn that until last year. We told her last year that that's why we've done this. We've done ever since the first year. We've been doing it each December.
Have you, obviously Jeffrey is this bowling ball, blue nose pit, that obviously there's some preconceived notions about pit bulls in general. Never mind a pit bull that might be a therapy dog. Have you met any resistance from anyone? Just, well, one in general, just owning a pit bull, and two, especially given the fact that he's in the therapy dog program.
We have had a little bit of, I've had some people say some pretty rude things to me, or make some judgments, some unfair judgments, and state their opinions. But I always try to meet them on a common ground. I introduce myself. I tell, I ask if they say something rude. I ask them, can I ask you why that you feel that way? Did you have a bad experience, or share with me. I try to meet them on a common ground. I treat them kindly and with respect, because some people do have experiences that lead them to have these preconceptions. And often, it will be that they read something, or maybe they had a bad experience. But we talk, and I'm kind to them, and I leave it at that. And that way, people don't remember what you say to them half the time, but they will remember how you made them feel. So maybe that plants a seed. So the next time they see someone with a pit bull, they won't think, oh, this owner is horrible. I hate their dog and I hate them. I was kind to them, and that does definitely diffuse some of the feelings. And he's had a few people that really opened their minds and wanted to pet him and talk to me and ask a lot of really good questions, and have had some nice experiences with people that started out maybe not so kind to us. So
For sure.
I think he's been a great bridge for a lot of people to understanding that he's just a dog, just like in an individual, just like you or I. We're
For
all
sure.
individuals, and every dog is an individual.
I apologize ahead of time if we start to hear a leaf blower. Apparently, gardeners in the state of California are essential. So if we hear some leaf blowing in the background, I apologize. But do you remember, or like, can you point to one particular interaction where you're like, wow, that really changed the perception of a person, like, completely? Because I know I've had experiences, and I could go into my particular one that I tell everyone, but I'd love to hear if you've had one with Jeffrey.
Yes, actually, it was in an Agway store in North Haven, and the woman came in. I saw a woman came in, and she saw us, and she immediately, made a 12-foot jump to the other side of the store, and she was looking at me. She said, "Yeah, don't let the dog come near me." And I said, "Oh no, I won't." I said, he's well trained. My name's Michelle. This is Jeffrey. He'll stay right by my side. He won't come near you. And she was looking at me from, and really scared from across the store. And I just chatted with her, and I said, "Did you have a bad experience?" And she said that she had a bad experience, and then the girl that was at Agway had, was petting Jeffrey and talking to him, and meanwhile, she's talking to me, about random things, not just Jeffrey, but flowers and what have you. And she's starting to diffuse, and we talked for maybe 5 to 10 minutes from a distance, and then she said, I think I might like to pet him. And I said, okay. So I had Jeffrey. When people are afraid, I tell Jeffrey to get small, and he lays down on the ground. And so he got small, and she came over, and she very tentatively pet him, and he just licked her hand, and she was shaking, and then she started crying. And she pet him again, and she said, "I have to go get my husband." And she went out to the car, and she brought her husband in. Her husband was a lovely man, and he said he couldn't believe what he was seeing. And it was nice. It was a good experience. I was in tears because it made me feel really good that he was able to help somebody be comfortable with a fear. Who knows if she's afraid of other pit bulls in the future, but that moment, it was a great moment for us.
For sure. Yeah, my pit mix definitely. My wife, who was my girlfriend at the time, was afraid of big dogs, and he definitely helped that. But there was one particular case where I was working with a Cane Corso, which is an Italian Mastiff, for those that don't know, and this dog was 65 pounds already at 4 months old, and I would take him out for just socialization around the town center in Calabasas at the time. And there was this one lady with maybe a 8-year-old daughter, walking, and again, same thing, took a huge, wide, veering path away from me, and I just waved and smiled. And then About 10 minutes later, there was another woman and her daughter who was just really enamored with the look of the dog, because Cane Corsos are kind of very
Yeah.
interesting looking dogs, and came over and was like, "Can I pet the dog?" And I was teaching Eros at the time to just lay down, and same thing, get small, especially with kids. And he would
Yeah.
lay down, and he went right on his side, and the young girl was petting him and saying, like, just loving it. And at that very moment, I looked sort of over the dog, and diagonal about 50, maybe 40 feet away was this same woman who had previously like given this huge wide berth and was looking at this dog on its side with this young girl. And I just kind of waved at her, and I was hoping at that moment that maybe that unlocked something in her to be like, I totally get it, I totally get why you could be scared, but maybe that judgment isn't valid. And again, dogs like Jeffrey, and I say this of every client I have that have bully breeds. I don't want them to feel like they have a different dog, like a different type
No.
of dog. It's a dog. This is not a caged lion. But
Yeah.
you all have the ability to change perceptions, and you hold a giant key in your hand. And if more people were like you, we wouldn't have this necessarily this enormous stigma around them. And he could definitely change a lot of perceptions. And that's what this is about too. Like, it's not about trying to be defensive, about defending pit bulls or anything like that. This is just, let's really show their good sides, and really get these stories out, so that people are like, wow, that's amazing, like, he is awesome. And
They're
so,
responsible. Mm-hmm.
right, so with the therapy, so besides obviously the amazing stuff with Sandy Hook, what does he do on a day-to-day basis as a therapy dog, or like whatever, however frequently you're working with him as a therapy dog? What's generally what he's doing?
So Jeffrey had actually a tremendous amount of time doing therapy visits that was not. I mean, Sandy Hook was a tiny blip in his therapy dog career. We did inner city library in New Haven for quite a while. That was actually where his signature painted toenails came from, because the first time we went to the library, the kids were all backed up because they didn't see these dogs in the same light. And the next time we came, I painted his nails bright, vibrant pink, and they all giggled, and it was an icebreaker. So every time we'd go to the library, one child could whisper what color they liked, and the next week the kids would wait at the top of the stairs to see what color his nails were going to be. So Jeffrey, to this day, still gets his nails painted for therapy visits. It's kind of like his, when we get ready, we do his nails, we get his vest on. He's done some hospice. He's worked, it's a lot with the Cove Center for Grieving Children. We've done school stuff. We've visited Girl Scout troops. We've talked about responsible dog ownership to groups of kids and adults. We do Connecticut Pit Bull Celebration Day every year. We've done all different types of visiting, nursing homes. We haven't really done much of the hospital setting. It wasn't his thing, but I think now that he's older, he may enjoy it. I work a lot, and we've really focused on dog sports this past year. So that was how we got into dog sports, was the therapy work, because I noticed he was starting to be um, tired. When he would be, it's emotionally draining on a dog to be a therapy dog, because they feel everything. They're so empathic. And he was getting tired in the car on the way home from visits. So I said, let's try something to give him a little self care, do something fun. We started taking a rally games class, and that
Can
was
you
how that happened.
explain to people that don't understand what rally is?
Rally is a form of obedience, and it is a course where there are signs, and each sign is a station, and you have to perform an exercise every time you compete. The courses are different for each time you go into the ring. Where traditional obedience is a set pattern that you do every time you compete. He does have an obedience title. Jeffrey does have obedience one title with CWAGs, Canine Working Games, but we compete in what's called World Single Sport Rally Obedience, and it's an international organization. And he he started competing in intro level, and now he is all the way through level 3B, and he's competing for his advanced championships now.
And I think we're gonna hear the leaf blowers now, so I apologize.
Okay,
But
I can't. We can't. I can't hear them. I don't know if anybody else can.
yeah, so I mean, I'm just showing some pictures of Jeffrey with his 7,000 ribbons that he's had. Does he have, and so you talked about Sport. Explain what that is as well.
World Final Sport. It used to be APDT rally, APDT, I believe, and it's USDA, part of the agility. It's a dog sport organization, and that's who is the governing organization for all of our trials that we compete in. There are different organizations. There's AKC Rally. There's all different types, but we prefer WCRL just because it's like a big family to us, and he's become. We have so many friends in WCRL, and he's become a very popular competitor. He last year was chosen as the People's Choice, as the team they like to watch. He got an award at the national rankings trial, or no, it was the holiday trial actually, Christmas time, which was really a big honor because that means that our peers chose us as the team that they liked to watch the most. He got a trophy. He's been high scoring rescue dog. He's been high scoring therapy dog. He has achieved his what's called his Arch X, his All Rally Champion Excellent Award, and now there's just 2 more to get to the top of our sport. He's achieved more than I ever thought we would do. I never thought we'd compete. We just wanted to do games for fun. And our coach, Lee Sylvester, who is extraordinary, is so encouraging. She's our biggest cheerleader. Her dog Kingston is a gigantic Shiloh Shepherd, and that's Jeffrey's best friend. You'll see some of his pictures in your little roll of pictures there. We do a lot of things together, and she encouraged me to try getting in the ring. I was a nervous wreck, growing up, nervous, thought I did terrible. Jeffrey did great, and he had fun. So I said, I'm never doing that again. So then the following year, she got us to enter again, and then I started to relax a little bit and have some fun, and then it became something that we look forward to doing together. We train on Thursdays at Cause and Effect in Hamden. Amazing, beautiful facility. We're very fortunate to have that facility in our backyard, and we call it Big School. Jeffrey knows. You want to go to Big School? That's his favorite thing to do. So we've just had such an incredible journey in this sport, and we're not stopping because he loves it so much. The judges call him Team Hippo Bound. When it comes to the ring, he always gets a giggle. He does throw his own flair in there sometimes. Sometimes you have a distance down, and I tell him to down, and he rolls on his back like a pig, or he always has a little bit of humor added into whatever he does, and his gait is pretty interesting. He bounces like a hippo. He's very cute to watch.
Yes, I would say so. By the way, that Jeffrey is a large dog, and next to that Shiloh Shepherd, he looks like a Chihuahua.
Kingston is about 137 pounds, and Jeffrey weighs 68 pounds.
It's unbelievable. I mean, I think his hair makes it the juxtaposition that much more crazy, but that's pretty crazy.
And he has a baby brother who's not even a year, who is taller than he is, and he's Uncle Jeffrey. Cypress is Uncle Jeffrey's little buddy too, even though he's 3 times his size. And you'll see Cypress in some of those pictures as well, our donation drive pictures. So Lee has 2 gigantic Shiloh Shepherds, and the dogs all get along great and love each other. And Lee and I travel a lot with Kingston and Jeffrey. We travel to Virginia to compete in December. We travel up to Massachusetts to do CWAGs trials. We just have a really great time with our dogs.
And can you just give a little more onto his annual giving drive and what that is?
Sure. So every year in December, about the second weekend of December, we hold what's called Jeffrey's Joy of Giving, and it's a donation drive. We choose a human, like a homeless shelter or a food soup kitchen as our human um, part of it. We do a pet food drive for the community outreach programs that help people keep their pets in their homes. And then we pick one monetary charity every year that's dear to us. We have, Jeffrey has raised probably close to $10,000 over the years. We've done the Marin Sanchez Home Foundation, Sandy Hook Promise, Dylan's Wings of Change, Star Relief and Pet Assistance, A Hand for a Paw, the Bethel Center, the Downtown Evening Soup Kitchen, just all of these local charities. This year we did the Veterinary Care Foundation, which helps people that struggle with their veterinary medical bills. People with lesser means, and we raised $700 this year, and that was held at our veterinary clinic that I work at, Milford Animal Hospital, graciously allowed us to set up in the parking lot, and we had a very successful drive this year, and we're going to keep doing it every year. It gets bigger and bigger and bigger.
So, before we hop off, there's so much amazing stuff that he's done. What do you feel like has been like the biggest struggle with him?
He's perfect. I don't know. He's perfect. Um, I just, he needs to live to be 300 years old.
Yeah.
That's all I want, is him to live forever. He's done a lot of things, and he, he was the cover of the Pinups for Pitbulls calendar in 2018.
Yeah.
He's been in a book. He's been on the Today Show. He's done a lot of things for a little dog from death row. These are things that I would never have dreamed of. It just be kind of unfolded organically. These aren't things that I sought out. Um, every single thing that has happened in his life has unfolded organically.
It's pretty amazing. I mean, as I tell everyone, he is legitimately the most special dog I've ever been around, and he's a pretty just absolutely amazing soul on this earth, and yes, if he can live to 300, we got to figure that out for sure.
He has definitely brought the most incredible people into my life. You included my other friend Dave, who is a dear friend of ours, calls him the connector of souls, and nothing could be truer. We've met amazing people through his page. He's on Facebook. He's Jeffrey, the Positively Peaceful Pitbull, and we just try to share, love and inspiration. And he can be a therapy dog over the internet with what he does. I mean, therapy doesn't have to be in person, and we have met some extraordinary human beings through his page that have become dear friends of ours, truly dear friends in the real world, aside from the internet. I just feel very blessed, and I don't know what I ever did to deserve him in my life, but I will forever be trying to give back.
I'm sure he feels the same way times 1,000, because again, none of this happens without Jeff alerting you that there's this awesome dog, and you saying I'll take that dog, and this is what this is what can happen, and this is why dogs are so special, and it's a testament to you, and it's a testament to his little beautiful soul inside that bowling ball head of his, and we appreciate you, and we hope more people can understand that this can happen with a dog, and pit bulls can be great dogs. They're the stereotypes are just that, and he deserves everything and more, in this world, so that he can help kind of change the culture for so many others.
We are so ordinary, and there's so many ordinary people out there doing really good things, but just kind of he's himself, and he makes me my best self. And we, like I said, we met so many people through our page that are doing extraordinary things. There's a woman named Sharon. I have to talk about Sharon Kensky. She's a woman who had a dog named Miracle, and she made a foundation called the Miracles Touch, and it's like a little grassroots thing, and she helps people in her community that way, and those are people that inspire us. Those type of things that inspire us. Ordinary people doing extraordinary things without even realizing how extraordinary they are. Um, those are the type of things that we try to emulate. They inspire us to be better.
Well,
So everybody,
I want to thank you
what you had.
for sharing his story,
Thank you.
and hopefully more people can hear his story and be inspired, especially during, the time that we're in right now. So, thank you so much, Michelle, for taking the time.
Thank you. Thank you. We'll talk to you soon. Remember, we're all just walking each other home.
For sure.